Two boys entered the tower as princes, and somewhere behind those walls, England lost them forever.
Stone swallowed their footsteps, iron gates closed, and a kingdom began to fear what silence could hide.
They were heirs to a crown, but inside the tower, blood was no shield against ambition.
London watched the royal children vanish into shadow, and no prayer could pull them back again.
One summer, one fortress, two princes, and a silence so deep it poisoned a dynasty.
The tower did not roar that year. It simply held its breath and let two boys disappear.
Before England crowned a king, it first had to lose the children who stood in his way. No battlefield decided their fate, only corridors of stone, locked doors, and frightened whispers.
The guards are near.
The locked stare.
Their story begins with mourning, but it survives because nobody can prove where it ended.
This is the mystery that turned a royal fortress into the darkest symbol of English power.
In April 1483, King Edward IV died, leaving his kingdom to a boy too young to rule alone.
His eldest son, Edward V, was only 12, a child suddenly placed beneath the weight of a crown. Beside him stood his younger brother Richard, Duke of York, still too young to grasp the danger.
Their father was gone, but the struggle for England had only just stepped into the light.
Grief should have united the realm, yet power moves fastest when the throne is weakest.
Noble houses measured loyalties, old rivalries stirred, and every smile in court concealed a calculation. The late king had left sons, but he had also left men hungry enough to move against them.
At the center stood Richard, Duke of Gloucester, uncle to the boys and guardian of the realm.
To some, he was the kingdom's shield. To others, he was the danger still wearing patience.
The road to London became the first stage where trust and ambition began to separate.
Young Edward traveled south to claim his crown, believing the kingdom was waiting to receive him. Instead, he entered a web of arrests, sudden commands, and loyalties shifting before his very eyes.
Seize him by royal command! No, this is treason!
Richard seized control of the prince's household, cutting away men tied to the queen's family.
You are dismissed. Go.
It was swift, lawful in appearance, and terrifying in what it revealed about real power.
The future king was not struck down in battle. He was quietly taken into stronger hands.
England still spoke the language of duty, but force had already begun to shape the truth.
The Queen, Elizabeth Woodville, fled to sanctuary, carrying fear like fire through Westminster. Gripping her son close, her dignity remained intact amidst the terror.
There, she held her younger son Richard close, knowing the second boy was now the next prize.
Sanctuary offered holy protection, but politics has always tested the strength of sacred walls.
Pressure mounted until the younger prince too was surrendered into the machinery of royal control.
It is time, Your Grace.
My son.
Now both boys were together, and together they were taken toward the Tower of London.
At first, the move could be explained. Kings stayed there before coronation, and ceremony needed stone.
Yet the tower was never only a palace, because power always keeps prison near the throne. The princes entered through gates built to guard the crown, and perhaps to bury its rivals.
Witnesses saw them within the walls, dressed still as princes, though no longer masters of fate.
They played in the inner grounds, appeared at windows, and were seen less with each passing day.
What seemed temporary began to feel final, though almost nobody dared to say it aloud.
In June, the kingdom heard another shock. Edward IV's marriage was declared invalid. The shock rippled through the assembled nobles as the invalidation entered the realm.
If the marriage was void, then the sons were illegitimate, and the crown no longer theirs. Law had become the blade that could erase a prince without drawing a single drop of blood. Parliament would soon confirm the change, but the real victory had already been seized.
Richard of Gloucester was no longer protector standing beside the throne. He moved toward it.
The boys remained in the tower while their claim to England was stripped away piece by piece.
Ceremony shifted, loyalties followed, and the realm adjusted faster than conscience ever could.
Then came the detail that haunts the centuries. The princes were seen less, then not at all.
No public farewell, no funeral bell, no formal charge, only absence gathering strength in silence.
Servants whispered, courtiers looked away, and London began to sense that something terrible had settled in.
The city feels it.
A boy king and his brother had not left the tower, yet the world outside kept moving on. The disappearance was not a moment, but a fading, as if the walls were learning to erase.
By late summer, rumors moved faster than royal orders and carried far more fear. Whispers spread dread as official authority lagged behind.
Some said the children had died, others said they were hidden, waiting for a safer hour.
The princes are dead.
No, they are hidden.
The tower is silent.
But hidden princes are still weapons, and any living heir could become the banner of rebellion. That is why the mystery cut so deep. Too many people had reason to want them gone.
Richard III had gained the most because dead nephews cast fewer shadows than living ones.
Yet benefit alone is not proof, and history is often forced to hunt with broken tools.
His defenders argued he had no need for murder once the throne was already in his hands.
Precisely. The throne is secure. A murder now would only invite chaos.
His critics answered that crowns won by doubt are never secure while rival blood still breathes.
Others pointed at Henry Tudor's later rise, asking whether new power had old motives too.
The deeper one looks, the less simple the crime becomes, and the darker the century feels.
In royal politics, innocence rarely survives long enough to leave a clear trail. No surviving trace strong enough to resolve guilt, innocence lost without leaving a clear path.
The tower itself became part witness, part suspect, its stones carrying more legend than testimony.
No confession emerged from its chambers, no official account sealed the fate of the children. Only stone walls, candle residue, and the absence of closure. What remained were fragments. Sightings, rumors, accusations, and fear sharpened by political need. Sir Thomas More later wrote of murder in the night, but even his version came later.
Shakespeare would help fix Richard III in memory as a villain born for crooked deeds. The dramatic portrayal reshaped his reputation into that of a fixed villain.
Yet drama is not verdict, and legend often grows where proof has failed to survive.
Historians have argued for centuries over motive, access, timing, and the silence of records.
The timing is inconsistent with the records, but the silence is telling.
Each theory explains part of the darkness, but none commands the whole room.
That is why the case endures, not because answers are many, but because certainty is so thin.
England remembers the princes not only as victims, but as questions no rain could bury.
Then, almost 2 centuries later, the tower seemed to whisper again from beneath its stones.
Careful now, lads, the ground stirs.
In 1674, workmen uncovered bones under a staircase while rebuilding part of the fortress. The discovery would fuel centuries of historical intrigue and speculation.
The discovery electrified memory, because the dead did not arrive with names, only terrible possibility. Many believed the remains belonged to the lost princes, found at last in their prison tomb.
King Charles II ordered the bones placed in Westminster Abbey, where they still rest today.
Burial gave the story ceremony, but not peace, because ceremony is not the same as proof.
Modern examination has never ended the dispute, and calls for new testing remain controversial. The debate continues.
So even the bones, if they are theirs, do not close the case that made them famous. The dead were honored, but the truth remained sealed behind the same old walls of doubt.
Mystery, once crowned by legend, becomes harder to kill than any king.
Richard III's name never escaped the shadow cast by the vanished children in his care.
Whatever else he was, history forced him to stand forever beside that unanswered silence.
For some, he is plainly guilty. For others, he was condemned by Tudor propaganda and drama.
But reputations in monarchy are not built only by fact, they are built by memory.
And memory chose the image of 2 princes dimming behind the windows of the tower.
Their story fed rebellions, hardened suspicion, and shaped how England judged power itself.
It taught a brutal lesson. Bloodline offers no safety when the crown becomes a prize.
In that lesson, the tower changed from fortress to symbol, from residence to warning. Its architecture carries historical meaning heavier than function. Its walls no longer represented only royal strength, but also the cost of royal fear. The cost of fear and dynastic paranoia.
Few places in English history hold so much authority and so much accusation at once.
If you want more of England's darkest royal histories, follow Empire of Castles.
Because some castles were built to defend kings, and others to hide what kings had done.
The princes in the tower remain powerful because they were never allowed an ending of their own. They vanished before they could rule, before they could speak, before they could defend themselves.
All that survives is a nation still staring at the place where they were last seen.
The tower stands today above the Thames, crowded by tourists and haunted by old questions. Its ancient stones carry unresolved historic myths beneath the modern world's gaze.
Ravens still stalk the grounds. Guards still watch the gates. And the legend still breathes.
Somewhere between history and myth, 2 boys remain forever at the edge of a window.
England lost princes in 1483, but it lost certainty with them, and never won it back.
Behind the tower's stone silence, the most chilling royal mystery in England still refuses to die.